I stood at the back of the grand ballroom, my heart slamming against my ribs, watching my father stride toward the podium. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, but I barely noticed. After 15 years of clawing my way up from the warehouse floor at Meditex, I was sure today would be different. I'd earned this moment, blood, sweat, and endless nights proving myself. My new suit hugged me like armor, bought just for this. The board members' whispers had been buzzing for weeks, and I thought they finally saw me. "Welcome to Meditex's 30th anniversary," my father's voice boomed. 3 decades of innovation in medical devices, and a new chapter for our family's legacy. His eyes swept the room, deliberately skipping me. I've been thinking about the future of this company, built on family, trust, and talent. And today, that talent has come home. My stomach twisted. No, this wasn't right. Please welcome Meditex's new CEO, my daughter, Olivia Parker. The room exploded in applause as my little sister bounced onto the stage, all perfect hair and dazzling smiles. Olivia, 26, who'd spent the last 2 years finding herself in Europe, who'd never worked a day here, who'd dropped out of business school to meditate in Bali. Meanwhile, I'd built our international division from nothing, tripled our revenue, and secured deals with Asia's top hospitals. 15 years of 80-hour weeks, an MBA with honors, and they still told me I needed more experience. Speech. Speech, the crowd chanted. Olivia giggled into the mic. "Oh gosh, I'm so honored. When Daddy called me in Paris last month and said it was time to take my rightful place, I knew it was destiny. Last month, while I was in Singapore closing our biggest deal yet, a server slipped me a business card, my name, Sarah Parker, and my new title, Administrative Support Staff. I stared at it, hands shaking. 15 years, and I was demoted to fetching coffee for my sister, who couldn't read a balance sheet if her life depended on it. "Don't worry, Sarah," my father said, suddenly beside me. "Olivia will need someone to handle the details while she focuses on the big picture. You're good with paperwork." The dismissal in his voice lit a fire in me. "Congratulations," I said, calm as ice. "I'm sure Olivia will do great things." He squinted, expecting a fight. "Just remember your place. Don't make this difficult." I smiled, thinking of the encrypted laptop at home, the years I'd spent preparing for this exact betrayal. I wouldn't dream of it. He nodded and turned back to the party. He didn't see me pull out my phone, didn't see me send the text, "Plan Phoenix is a go." Within seconds, replies flooded in, hospital admins, suppliers, partners I'd cultivated across Asia. Another buzz, James Chin, my old mentor, now a venture capital titan. Documents received. Board meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. Everything's ready. I glanced at Olivia, giggling by the champagne fountain, and my father, beaming beside her. They had no idea what was coming. For 5 years, I'd built a parallel company in Asia, Phoenix Medical Technologies, right under their noses. While they thought I was just managing Meditex's partnerships, I was creating next-gen devices that would crush our current line. Every late night, every condescending "prove yourself" from my father had led to this. "Sarah," Olivia's voice cut through. "Be a dear and grab me another champagne. Oh, and start my schedule for next week. Lots of meetings to learn this boring business stuff." I handed her a flute with a smile. "Of course. Anything else?" She waved me off. "That's all. Oh, and maybe clean out your office. I want it for a meditation room." "Don't worry," I said, more to myself. "I won't be needing it." I walked out of the ballroom, head high, my phone buzzing again. The PR firm. Press release ready. Phoenix Medical Technologies revolutionizes the industry tomorrow. My father's reliable little girl was about to become his biggest rival. Game on. I got to the office early the next morning, my sharpest suit on, the air still thick with the ghost of last night's party. The cleaning crew was scrubbing away champagne stains, but I didn't care about that. I walked straight to my office, my soon-to-be former office. The walls were lined with awards, sales excellence, innovation leadership, international business development. 15 years of proof I was more than good with paperwork. None of it had mattered to them. Jenny, my assistant, was already at her desk. She'd been in on Phoenix for 3 years, juggling my double life with me. "Everything's ready," she said, handing me a stack of papers. "Press release goes live in 30 minutes. Your resignation's on top." I skimmed the letter, short, polite, no hint of the bomb about to drop. "Olivia here yet?" Jenny smirked. "Nope. Called to say she'll be in at 11. Having a creative breakfast to brainstorm new company colors." Perfect. I grabbed my stuff, just a small box. My real work had been at home for years. "You know what to do?" She nodded, packing her own desk. "My resignation goes in after yours. I start at Phoenix's Singapore office next week. First-class tickets are booked," I said. "You'll love the apartment." I headed to my father's office, passing the conference room where the board would meet later. They'd be scrambling over Olivia's vision by then, oblivious to the chaos I was unleashing. He was at his desk, frowning at some report, and looked up when I walked in. His face darkened. "Sarah, I hope you're here to say you've accepted your role." I set the resignation letter on his desk. "Actually, I'm here to say I'm leaving." He barely glanced at it. "Don't be dramatic. Where else would you go? This company's your life." "No," I said, steady as steel. "This company was your life. I've built something else." Before he could snap back, his computer pinged. Then again. And again. News alerts. He clicked the first one, and I watched the color drain from his face. Phoenix Medical Technologies announces revolutionary product line, backed by $500 million investment. His eyes widened when he saw my name, my photo, my company. "What have you done?" he whispered. "I built something of my own. Something better. Those Asian partnerships you bragged about? They're moving to Phoenix. The innovations you promised shareholders? They're launching under my banner." He shot up, his chair crashing against the wall. "You stole from us. Our contacts, our resources." "No," I cut him off. "I used my contacts, my resources. Everything's legal, ethical, separate from Meditech's. Check the contracts. Your lawyers will see it's airtight." "I'll sue you," he spat. "I'll destroy you." "You'll do nothing," I said, voice like a blade. "Any move against Phoenix will just show how you've tanked Meditech's, picking an unqualified CEO out of favoritism, driving off your best exec because you couldn't see past your own bias." He sank back into his chair, deflated, looking older than I'd ever seen him. "Why? Why didn't you tell me?" I laughed, sharp and cold. "Would you have listened? When have you ever listened to me?" Olivia burst in, pale and frantic. "Daddy, have you seen the news? Everyone's calling about some company in Asia, our stock's crashing." I picked up my box and headed for the door. "Good luck, Olivia. I'm sure you'll figure it out." "Wait." My father called as I reached the threshold. "You can't just leave. We're family." I turned, meeting his eyes. "You're right. We are. And families are supposed to support each other, see each other's worth. Let me know when you're ready to start doing that." I walked out, leaving Olivia's panicked babbling and his heavy silence behind. Outside, a black car waited to take me to the airport. My new board was expecting me in Singapore. I had an empire to run. By the time I boarded the plane, the press release had hit. Phoenix was trending #disruptor, #gamechanger. My phone buzzed with texts from James Chin. Board's ecstatic. Contracts rolling in. Another from the PR firm. Stock exchange confirmed IPO filing. I leaned back in my seat, staring out at the tarmac. Meditech's was crumbling, and I'd lit the match. This wasn't just revenge, it was justice. And I was just getting started. 6 months later, I stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of my Singapore office, the city skyline stretching out below me. Phoenix Medical Technologies wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Our new product line was changing lives across Asia, and we were already ahead of schedule for Europe. The financials on my desk showed our valuation had tripled since the IPO. Meanwhile, Meditech's stock had tanked, down 60% and still bleeding. "Miss Parker," Jenny's voice crackled through the intercom. "Your sister's on the line again. 5th call today." I sighed, rubbing my temples. "Thanks, Jenny. No need to put her through." The calls had started a month ago. First, it was my father's lawyers with empty threats. Then the board, sniffing around for a merger. Now Olivia, probably realizing her big picture gig wasn't all champagne and meditation rooms. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My phone buzzed. James Chin, CNN interview killed it. You're trending #female founder, #business genius. I'd been nervous about going public with my story, but he'd pushed me. The world ate it up, the quiet daughter who'd outsmarted her own family. Another buzz, an email from Meditex's top Japanese client. Contract terminated. Excited to work with Phoenix. I hadn't chased them, they came to me. Our tech was better, plain and simple. Miss Parker, Jenny again. Your father's here. In the lobby. Demanding to see you. I froze. Here? In Singapore? Part of me wanted to send security down, but that'd just prove his old line about me being emotional. Send him up. I sat at my desk, straightening my posture. The office screamed power, sleek, modern, a far cry from Meditex's outdated headquarters. When he walked in, he looked smaller. Gray streaked his hair, his suit was rumpled, like he'd flown straight from a red-eye. The last 6 months had worn him down. Sarah, he said, voice rough. Nice view. Thanks. What brings you to Singapore? He crossed to the window, staring out. Board meeting this morning. Didn't go well. Shareholders want answers. The stock, he trailed off, shaking his head. I know about Meditex's problems, I said, keeping it neutral. But why are you here? He turned, and for the first time, I saw something like respect in his eyes. I underestimated you. We all did. What you've built, it's incredible. Thanks, I said, flat. Still doesn't answer my question. He pulled a folder from his briefcase and set it on my desk. We're proposing a merger. Phoenix as the parent company. You'd have full control. I flipped it open. The terms were desperate, generous to a fault. And Olivia? Resigned last week, he said, almost smiling. Said she needed to find herself again. Too many spreadsheets, not enough meditation. I stood and walked to the window, thinking. Below, Singapore hummed with life, a world I'd conquered on my own. You know what I remember most from Meditex? Sitting in board meetings while you fawned over Olivia's travel stories. She'd waltz in with photos, and you'd act like it was genius. I was the one doing the real work, partnerships, research, growth. But to you, that was just details. He stayed quiet for a long beat. I was wrong. Yeah, you were, I said, turning to him. And now you want me to bail you out, merge my success with your mess, and act like nothing happened. We're still family, he said, soft. Are we? Families don't dismiss one kid's work while propping up the other for breathing. He sank into a chair, looking ancient. What do you want me to say? That I failed you? That I was blind? That you outsmarting me woke me up? I don't want you to say anything, I shot back. I want you to get it. Phoenix isn't just a company, it's proof I didn't need your approval. Every time you overlooked me, it made me tougher. I picked up the merger proposal and handed it back. No merger. Ever. But I'll buy your best patents at a fair price. Use the cash to rebuild, refocus. Maybe make something worth Olivia's time. He took the folder, hands shaky. And us? Can we rebuild too? I sat down, staring at him. All those years of being the reliable one, ignored while Olivia got the spotlight. That depends. Are you ready to see me as a leader, not just your paperwork girl? He nodded, slow, a flicker of pride breaking through the regret. I already do. You've made sure everyone does. He paused at the door on his way out. For what it's worth, your mother would have been proud. She always said you had a quiet strength we'd all miss until it hit us. After he left, I stayed at my desk, the city lights flickering on outside. My phone buzzed, Phoenix updates, more wins. But I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about strength, family, and whether I'd ever let them back in. He'd finally heard me. Now it was my turn to decide what came next. 3 months after my father's visit, I was back in Boston for the Healthcare Innovation Summit. Phoenix was getting the Industry Disruptor Award, and I was set to give the keynote. Standing in my hotel room, fixing my earrings, I couldn't shake the irony. A year ago, I'd been fetching coffee at Meditex's big night. Now, I was the main event. My phone buzzed. Olivia, can we meet for coffee before your speech? Please. I stared at it. She'd been texting for weeks, anger, then apologies, now this. Something about it felt different. Real. For Seasons Lobby Cafe, 9 a.m., I replied. I had 2 hours before the keynote. Maybe it was time to hear her out. She was already there when I got to the cafe, shredding a napkin. No designer getup, no perfect hair, just jeans, a sweater, and a messy ponytail. She looked raw, human. You look good, I said, sitting across from her. She gave a small smile. You look amazing. Saw your Forbes cover, The Silent Strategist. Fits you. Not my choice of headline, I said, ordering coffee. They love the underdog angle. It's true, though, she said, leaning in. You built something huge while we were too wrapped up in ourselves to see. I studied her, waiting for the catch. None came. Why'd you want to meet? She took a breath. I've been in therapy since everything fell apart. It's opened my eyes, how Dad pitted us against each other, how I played the golden child without thinking what it cost. Cost who? I asked. Us, she said, quiet. You, for never getting the credit you deserved. Me, for not earning anything myself. Dad screwed us both, didn't he? Yeah, I said, feeling something loosen inside me. He did. When I quit Meditex, she went on, everyone thought I flamed out. But I was relieved. Being CEO was his dream, not mine. I spent years chasing what he wanted, not what I did. And what do you want? I asked, actually curious. She smiled, pulling a playbill from her bag. Remember our backyard plays before Mom died? I've been doing community theater. Small stuff, but it's mine. I love it. I read her name on it, lead in the Glass Menagerie. Not exactly small. Openings next month, she said, hesitant. I know we've got a lot to fix, but I'd love if you came. My phone buzzed, keynote reminder. I've got to go, I said, standing. Of course, she said, standing too. I saw your TED Talk, Authentic Leadership, Spotting Talent. Made me realize how often I took credit for your work at Meditex. How I never said thanks. Let me finish, I started, but she cut me off. No, I'm sorry, Sarah. For making you feel less, for stealing your wins, for playing Dad's game instead of being your sister. I blinked back tears. I had a speech to give, no time for this. Thanks. That means something. Break a leg, she said, then left. Theater talk. I'm learning. Walking to the convention center, I thought about change, how I'd turned betrayal into power, how Olivia was finding her own way. The ballroom was packed when I stepped on stage, hundreds of execs waiting to hear me. My father was there too, in the back, quiet. He'd asked to come, a small shift I hadn't expected. Good morning, I said, ditching my notes. I want to talk about vision, the kind that sees what's possible when no one else does. Olivia slipped in, giving me a thumbs up. I smiled. We think success means being loud, demanding a spotlight. But sometimes it's quiet moves that win. Sometimes it's being underestimated that fuels you. I told my story, the real one. The daughter who fought for her worth, the sister who stepped out of the shadows, the woman who built an empire from dismissal. The biggest lesson? Leadership isn't titles or offices. It's knowing your value when others don't. Building something real, even in silence. And maybe opening a door when success makes them finally see you. The applause hit hard, but I didn't hear it. I saw my father and Olivia, pride and regret on their faces. We weren't fixed, but this felt like a start. After, a note waited on the podium. You were never the coffee runner. You were always the leader. We were blind. Dad. I tucked it in my pocket, next to Olivia's playbill. Maybe it was time for a new chapter, not just for Phoenix, but for us. That night, I booked a flight for her opening and called my father about his idea for monthly dinners. No business, just family. One step at a time. A year later, I stood in the garden of our old family estate, watching the sunset turn the sky orange and pink. The place was alive, twinkling lights, elegant tables, all set for Phoenix Medical Technology's 5-year anniversary. It was a far cry from the night I'd stood here, invisible, while Olivia took my future. Ready for your speech? Olivia appeared beside me, glowing in an emerald gown. She'd just come off a theater tour. Her lead role had critics raving. She wasn't the same sister who demanded champagne and meditation rooms. This confidence was real, earned. Almost, I said, adjusting my notes. How's Dad? Nervous, she laughed. He's been practicing his toast all week. Never seen him so worked up. The past year had shifted everything. After Meditech's restructured, Dad stunned us by starting a biomed engineering master's. If I'm on Phoenix's advisory board, he'd said, I want to understand the tech, not just the numbers. Tonight, he'd be up there with me, a moment he'd pushed for. The string quartet started, and the MC called me up. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Phoenix Medical Technologies founder and CEO, Sarah Parker. I stepped to the podium, scanning the crowd. James Chin, my mentor, sat with his family. Jenny, now our global ops director, grinned from the front. Even some old Meditech's board members were there, the ones who'd eventually apologized for betting on the wrong daughter. 5 years ago, I said, I stood in this garden watching my dream of leading my family's company slip away. It could have crushed me. Instead, it built something bigger. I glanced at Dad, who nodded slightly. He'd aged, but not from defeat, from starting over, from seeing us both anew. Phoenix isn't just about market wins or patents. It's about lives changed, patients, employees, even family. Olivia smiled from the side. She'd started a theater program for Phoenix employees' kids, blending her passion with purpose. Everyone deserves a spotlight, she'd told me. I just had to find mine instead of taking yours. They say success is revenge, I went on. But it's a teacher too. It shows us who we are, who others are, and that it's never too late to shift course. I waved Dad up. He straightened his tie, nervous, and joined me. When Sarah left Meditech's, he started, voice thick, I thought she was out to hurt us. I was dead wrong. She wasn't tearing anything down, she was building something better. Something I'd lost sight of. He faced me. I spent years blind to the leader in front of me, trying to shove your sister into a role meant for you. But you didn't let that stop you. You turned every slight into fuel. I held steady, no tears. This was triumph, not sadness. Today, he said, I'm proud of Phoenix, but more of my daughters. Sarah, for forging her path when I blocked hers. Olivia, for finding her calling, even if it meant letting my plans go. Olivia stepped up, completing us. The crowd watched, quiet, as years of tension melted into something new. Phoenix's future is bright, I said, raising my glass. Not just for our tech or growth, but because we've learned strength comes from seeing everyone's unique fire. The party stretched late. I caught Dad deep in talk with James about Phoenix's latest research, his eyes alive with excitement. Olivia charmed partners with theater stories, finally herself. Later, in the quiet garden, Dad found me by Mom's old rose bushes. Quite a night, he said. Your mother would have loved it. She would have, I agreed. She saw this coming, I think. He nodded, pulling out a small box. Found this in her papers while clearing my Meditech's office. Inside was a silver compass, worn but beautiful, with a note in her handwriting. For Sarah, true north isn't where others point you. She left it for you, he said. Said to give it when you found your way. She knew you'd take a different road. I held it, the weight of her faith hitting me. We can't undo the past, I said, but we can build a better future. He smiled, softer than I'd ever seen. We already are. The party faded behind us, but I stayed there, compass in hand. Phoenix was my empire, but this family, flawed and healing, was something more. Mom had been right. I'd found my north, and now they were following. 5 years after that garden party, I stood on the balcony of Phoenix's new Shanghai headquarters, the city's lights sprawling below. We'd just launched our biggest innovation yet, a device that cut surgery recovery time in half. Hospitals worldwide were clamoring for it, and our stock had hit an all-time high. Phoenix wasn't just a player anymore, it was the leader I'd always known it could be. My phone buzzed. Jenny. Board's thrilled. European rollout starts next week. Another from James. You've redefined the industry. Proud to be on this ride. I smiled. This was the payoff for every late night, every doubter I'd proved wrong. Back in Boston, things had changed too. I'd just flown in for Dad's graduation. He'd finished his biomed engineering master's at 68. I'm not done learning, he'd said at the ceremony, grinning in his cap and gown. He'd joined Phoenix's advisory board, bringing ideas that surprised even me. The man who'd once dismissed my work now pored over tech specs like a kid with a new toy. Olivia was there too, fresh off another theater triumph. Her latest play had sold out, and she'd started a nonprofit to fund arts for underprivileged kids. I'm not stealing your spotlight anymore, she'd joked at dinner. I've got my own now. We'd laughed real laughs, not the tense ones from years past. That night, we sat at the family estate, the three of us, for one of our monthly dinners. No business, just us. Dad poured wine, his hands steadier than they'd been in Singapore. I got a call from an old Meditech's board member today, he said. Asked if I regretted letting you go. What did you say? I asked. Told him I didn't let you go, you outgrew us. Best thing I ever did was get out of your way. Olivia raised her glass. To Sarah, outgrowing us all. To us, I corrected. We're all here because we found our own paths. Dad nodded. Your mother'd be proud of this. All of it. I pulled the silver compass from my pocket, the one she'd left me. She knew we'd figure it out eventually. We clinked glasses, the sound sharp in the quiet night. Meditech's was a memory now, sold off, its patents fueling Phoenix's rise. But this family, rebuilt on truth, was the real win. I'd turned betrayal into triumph, and they'd turned regret into redemption. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. The next morning, I flew back to Shanghai for a press conference. The room was packed, reporters, investors, competitors who'd once laughed me off. Phoenix isn't just about tech, I told them. It's about seeing what others miss, potential, grit, the quiet ones who change everything. They asked about my story, the underdog angle. I kept it simple. I didn't set out to prove anyone wrong. I set out to build something right. The rest just followed. Later, alone in my office, I looked at the compass on my desk. True North had led me here, an empire, a family, a legacy. I'd fought for it, bled for it, and now I stood on it. The underestimated daughter wasn't just a headline anymore. She was me, and I wasn't done yet. And there it is, Sarah's journey from betrayal to badass, a story of grit, revenge, and redemption that hits you right in the chest. I loved writing this one, watching her turn the tables and build something unstoppable. What's next? Stick around to find out. Subscribe below so you don't miss the next tale of triumph. Who knows what empire we'll build together?